What was the biggest challenge for you?
What is the biggest challenge when you report on the conflict in your own country?
The biggest challenge was to have enough information and to give them to the public. Not doing any commentaries, because a lot of pictures, a lot of news were self-explanatory. They didn't need any more additional words, comments, or to cover the substance. So it means enough information for everybody to can understand, because in a certain part of a country, lives of the people depend on quality of information. Are they going to be attacked or no? Do we know more than they do know?
But when there is, let's say, an ethnic conflict, and there is a society which is different, consistent of the different group, what are the concerns? I mean, I'm talking as a Ukrainian who doesn't, who will not really
concerns are that you don't want to provoke more problems that actually are on the ground, you know, and to be objective as much as you can do. It's not easy. It's not easy, but you have to be objective. Objective, what do you think that in that moment is objective for the public to know? So it means basically to have enough information for all sides, from all sides. You have to do that.
Some people like...
You just cannot exclude certain parts of a society because you think, well, who knows what kind of information they can give me. You need to know what they think.
Reporting on the different communities, what is another like a challenge with using the words, and what kind of, after the years of the war, what do you understand you would... After the years,
Yes.
what do you think that journalists, the Croatian journalists and Croatia could have done differently?
We couldn't stop the war. That was at the very beginning. You know, the war came to our territory. We were shocked, as the majority of people were shocked, because we never thought that we will have in our lifetime a war on the territory of Croatia. And the biggest challenge was always, you know, you question yourself at the end of the day, was I right? Did I give enough information? Did I have to ask somebody else, perhaps, for additional explanation? Or perhaps that's it, what's going on? Did I accuse perhaps somebody? Or did I put some names and cause a lot of problems for them for no reasons, just to fulfill my report? That's a problem, you know. When you start thinking in a certain moment that your report must have, you know, introduction, sound bites, something else at the end, or perhaps a little commentary or something. You just cannot follow this professional rule. The only professional rule that you have to obtain, and bearing in mind always, is to have inquiry mind. Was that enough that I said? And not to put many adjectives on each side, you know, just to show that you are defending the idea of freedom or whatever.
So now we do have the discussion that if there is a strong propaganda, like state-imposed propaganda, which we now see, for instance, from the Kremlin.
You don't have to repeat the state propaganda. That's my first conclusion. You don't have to repeat it. You, as a journalist, you don't have. Perhaps somebody else will do that. But the people will believe you, not to the one who follows the propaganda and who just storytelling after that propaganda on propaganda.
But like, how to
you can say no.
How to confront it? How to confront propaganda?
You can confront propaganda easily if you have enough sources for the proper information, for the right information, from different sides, from the different sources. That's the only way that you can fight propaganda, and not to repeat them. Not to repeat them. You know, there are situations when they will say, okay, Natalia, you have to do that. And you will say, no, I don't. I don't. I will report. I will send news. but I don't have to do your propaganda. That's your business, not mine. I'm a journalist. That's a rule that I follow all my life, and I'm quite old.
When we talk, you told like that you sometimes see some similarities in the start of what is happening now in Ukraine with the way of the provocation with the conflict. So what are the mistakes you, not the mistakes, what are the lessons you learned in this kind of conflicts?
The lesson that was very painful was that we thought that when somebody happens in the Europe, we are not such a huge continent with a deserted areas, so nobody can easily reach information. That everybody knows what's happened in our country and that they will help us. No, it's not so easy. It's not so easy. There are different interests. Usually, international community is ready to wait and see. And wait and see, when you have a conflict on the ground, is expensive. It costs you a life, it costs you a lot. And when after that, after a year or months, the international community comes and says, well, okay, it's enough, you should talk. Let's see who is the first one who is ready to compromise. And then you start negotiating, renegotiating, again, from the point of international community, what will be perhaps at the end the easiest way to come out of it, to calm down the conflict, and after that, when you sign the agreement, we will see what will happen.
And for the society?
For the society, well, it's enormous burden, because we thought that when we had these many negotiations in Geneva, in Vienna, we started in Vienna and then in Geneva for years, and in New York, in Washington, and ended with the signature of the interim agreement in Paris. We thought it's over. Okay, now we can turn to ourselves and rebuild our country. No, it's not so easy. No, it's not so easy, because according to these agreements that you have signed, you have so many obligations. It's not so easy to do that, to fulfill the idea. Look on the Bosnia-Herzegovina. The problem is that you just cannot build the country. Democratic institutions based on what has been signed in Dayton. No way, unfortunately. And we see that 20 years after. And it was visible at the very beginning.